I think the biggest mistake anyone can do in regards to Neo is think of it as a Dark Souls game set in sort of an ancient Japan setting, and on the surface it may look like that. When you begin the game it may feel like that, but very quickly you start to see that Neo, while takes some templates and maybe foundations from the Dark Souls series, it's very much its own game, and by the time you get into it a couple of hours you can really feel that. In terms of looking like Dark Souls, you will get that in the term of a stamina meter, which is known as key in this game, and the fact that when you die you leave behind all your amrita, which are your souls, and then you've got to go back there and basically reclaim them, or else you will lose them forever. And in that sense, yeah, it's got the Dark Souls, but this isn't an open world game. Instead, you have a hub area, and within the hub area, you can equip new weapons, you can upgrade, you can pick different missions, and different missions will be set in different areas. And it's got a much. The funny thing is when you consider the developers here, which is Team Ninja, and they're best known for the Ninja Gaiden series, it very much actually feels more like a Ninja Gaiden game than any of the games from Software. And it feels like that in the sense of the action is fast and brutal and unrelenting. Enemies really come at you, but there's some systems in place that make the game feel much more fair. So in regards to Dark Souls, once again, you sort of, any enemy can kill you, and this is the same here, but the big difference, and it makes a huge difference, is that you can actually see your enemy's stamina meter. So you can see how much more they can be on the offensive before you can then take advantage. So you can block, you can dodge, and then take advantage when you see the stamina meter emptying. And when it is empty, you can hit extra powerful attacks, and it makes a huge difference to your strategies, because you're not just looking at their attack patterns and their movements. It feels much more natural and organic every single fight, and you've got to read them. And on top of reading the enemy, you have 3 different stances, and so do a lot of the enemies. And the regular stance is sort of defensive, it hits a bit, but it's slow enough. And then if you move to the upper stance, it's much more powerful but much more slower. And then the bottom stance doesn't deal a huge amount of damage, but it's quick, and then it takes up a lot less stamina. But on top of that, when you start the game, you get to pick 2 different types of weapons you can use. So it's like axe or a sword or double swords, and that alone sort of gives you a great idea of the different approaches you'll be taking. And probably the most surprising thing to Nioh that I discovered was actually the loot system. In the games, like you might compare it to even Ninja Gaiden or Dark Souls, there's not a huge number of weapons. It's quite limited in some regards. In Nioh, you are picking up items and weapons and armor all the time, and it falls into actually the more Diablo side, and I was quite surprised by that. At the same time, it's kind of cool to. There's something about tough games when you get to a boss and it just kicks your head in over and over again, to the point where you know, or you feel, or you think you know, you will not progress any further, only to eventually understand the enemy and its patterns and its attacks and how to counter all that. And you get in there and you defeat it, and there's this incredible sense of satisfaction. And it's why the Souls games have been so popular. It's why Ninja Gaiden was always so loved. That you don't get that sense of satisfaction in other games. You don't get that sense of frustration as well. But when you finally overcome these challenges, it really means a lot. And then to have not only that, but then a really, really rare weapon drop of the type of weapon you've been using, it kind of feels a lot more sweeter, I guess. That win is a bit more sweeter. But in terms of Nioh, you feel that all the way through, and the enemies, the design is pretty great. The level design is probably, to me, in the earlier parts anyway, a bit weaker. It's quite linear and small-ish. It's not tiny by any means, but in certain areas you can get from the starting area to the boss within 2 minutes if you know where you're going. But that's beside the point, because once you get later on into this game, everything opens up and the world starts to tell a bit more of its story. In the beginning it kind of feels a bit stereotypical, but once you get into the bigger areas and the game allows you to explore, it allows itself to tell you a story as well. It allows you to tell the world that you're in and everything else, and that's pretty awesome. The game itself as well is quite a long game. I think around 60 to 80 hours, and there are twilight missions, which is previous missions you've completed but at a much higher difficulty, like level 90. And that's pretty awesome to have so much content in there, a surprising amount of content that actually the game never really it never felt dragging to me. It felt quite tough to keep trotting on for review purposes, but as its game itself, I can't wait to get back to it now and get through everything and do everything I want, because it's just one of those games that keep you there, that really draws you in. And from a personal point, I don't know, the main actor, William, he's got a bit of an Irish accent, and that's pretty cool too. But Nioh is, regardless, one of the coolest games I've played in a fair while, and I was quite surprised by that, given playing the sort of the beta alpha type thing they released a while ago. It was okay, and I was a little taken aback by making it. It kind of felt like, oh, it's their take on the Dark Souls formula, but then you play it and you realise it's its own beast. And to be honest, it actually takes that formula to a whole new level, to the point where, to me, Nioh is the new standard for these type of games. This genre that has yet to be properly titled. To me, Nioh is the pinnacle of that genre right now. First off, thanks for getting to the end of the video, but second, I want to be honest, I hate these outro things. They're annoying, where people plead to watch a video or like or subscribe, but actually if you do subscribe, it does really help, and it's nice to have an outro video where it's a little bit different than just having it go blank. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, no, yeah, don't worry about it.